Hello and welcome to this episode of Point-Counterpoint. We are here to discuss and deliberate yet another contentious issue this week. And the subject at hand is an old subject with new developments. The proposed marina at the Nauxim village in Bamboli near the Goa University has once again evoked a lot of heat and a lot of distress. On the face of it, this particular marina project is supposed to, according to the project proponents, bring in a lot of revenue, boost tourism, and increase the kind of tourism that the government seems to be propagating. High-end tourism with boats and yachts, with associated hotels and restaurants and so on and so forth. On the face of it, there cannot be any objection to a project like this. But the point is that there's much more to it that meets the eye. Primarily, the location and the choice of this project has left people, not only environmentalists, but others who understand Goa's ecology, completely aghast. We will go into the details of this particular project, but the reason why we are here at hand is that so far the project was kept on hold because the environmental clearance of the project was kept on hold, without which the project could not move ahead. Recently, a lot of people were surprised and rattled when the Ministry of Environment and Forests and Climate Change decided or propagated the whole idea of bypassing the environmental clearance required, essentially opening up a closed window to this project. Of course, there are a lot of issues that need to be got into. But before I introduce the panelists, let us hear what the Minister of State for Ports and Shipping, who happens to be the MP of North Goa, Shripad Naik, has to say, as well as the Chief Minister, who has made a very quick comment on the whole marina project. Please listen in.
सरकार या संदर्भात सगळ्यांची मतं जी आसा ते घेवपाची हातूंतल्यान आसा आनी सगळे कोण विरोध करतात कोण फॉर आसा ते सगळ्यांकडे चर्चे केले नंतरच निर्णयाचे निकाल शेवटी कडेन विरोध शेवटी कितें आसा काही हे आसता काही इन्फॉर्मेशन आसता ती सगळ्यांक खरी इन्फॉर्मेशन खबर आसना एक तरी जर आमी हे केलें पण दुसऱ्याचें आयकून घेवन ताचेर बॅलन्स थिंकींग करून ताचेर डिसिजन घेवपाक हें सगळ्यांनीच करून अशें म्हाका दिसता आनी तें सरकार तें करता सगळ्या ऑपोजिशनाचे व्यू कितें आसा खरोखरूच तांचें बरोबर आसा जाल्यार सरकारान ताचेर विचार करूंक जाय.
सर मरीना प्रोजेक्टाचेर सर खुबसो अपोज जाल्लो विरोध करपाची
संवय. Okay, so you've heard what Shripad Naik, the Honourable MP, and the Chief Minister had to say. Shripad Naik, for the benefit of our panelists and viewers, let me just paraphrase what he said. He essentially said all sides are going to be heard, and he left it at that. It was very cursory, and the CM, of course, has completely dismissed the opposition, saying that this opposition is absolute nonsense. Before we get into the discussion, I'd like to introduce our eminent panelists. We regret that nobody from the industry side chose to come, though they were invited. It would have been nice to get the other point of view as well. But we'll mention this nevertheless. The panelists are Advocate Suresh Palkar, who's the convener of Goenkar against Marina, which is a leading organization which is like fighting and putting up the right reasons, according to them, for the opposition to the marina. Ramrao Wagh, of course, is on the other side, on the extreme right, and he's somebody who needs no introduction. He's a co-convener again of Goenkar against Marina. He's a professor, columnist, and in the center we have Cyril Fernandes, who is the president of the Chicalim Villagers Action Committee, a very strong organization which essentially works towards the protection of the very fragile and eco-sensitive Chicalim Bay. I will start with you, Ramrao Wagh. The point here is that I'll just very draw your attention to something very interesting that you already know of. See, this was an excerpt from the MPA's affidavit in court. The Murmugao Port Authority, which was earlier MPT, I'll just read from their affidavit, which is very, very interesting. It says, although more than 11 years have elapsed since the execution of the lease deed, neither has Khargwal being the project proponent, the Khargwal Construction Private Limited, neither has Khargwal submitted the final NOCs, clearances required for the marina project, including environmental clearances, nor has physical possession of the leased area been handed over to Khargwal. Under such circumstances, the MPA in its meeting of 27 May 2022 has resolved to terminate the lease deed dated October 12, 2010. So essentially this is what the decision was taken. Much water has flown down the Zuari since then. If you could just take off from this point and elaborate further.
Yeah, so the concession deed, it is called, which was done in 2010, I think it had a validity period of 30 years. My colleague Advocate Palkar will know much better than that.
Yes.
And I think they were supposed to start the project within 10 years. So since in between now MPT was converted to MPA, somewhere down the line this board took this decision which I have mentioned. They first sent them a notice also, and then they claimed damages. If you are cancelling the deed, then Khargwal Construction Company actually demanded 88 crores from them for all this.
Right.
So, and then finally still MPA decided that we will cancel. Now we were also happy, and this was submitted to the court somewhere in 19 July or something.
Right.
In that, after that May.
Right.
And then there was some petitions which are filed, and I think based on all this, including later CM also made a statement that we can't go ahead with Marina and all.
Right.
The timeline is there. The case was I think finalized in a way.
Right.
Now what I suspect behind all this was a big game plan. That first let us settle this case, and then surprisingly the same MPA within a period of 1 year, they have again actually given a consent to the deed.
So you're saying that the
Yes.
concession agreement which
Yes.
was scrapped
Yeah.
was restored.
Was restored.
Right.
And what happened is before that this Khargwal company actually applied for a fresh application.
Right.
They gave a fresh application for EIA to Minister of Environment somewhere in 14th February 2022. And after that, somewhere in July, these people gave them a consent again, saying that okay, we will go ahead with this. So what it means is these people wanted to stop that previous case and then have a new application altogether, where again these people will play a role.
Right.
And then all these amendment which you said, surprisingly, it is surprise for all of us. But I think it is a big game plan where earlier, again another thing which they did was, then when in March 2023, when this case, when their application came up for the hearing in that expert appraisal committee, they said that your CRZ of Goa is not notified. Let us wait for it.
Correct.
Then later on in September it was notified.
Right.
Then this case was again taken. By the time these people
You mean the
also
CZMP?
Yeah, CZMP.
Yes.
So these people also had applied, MPA had given its consent, and during that time somewhere the Environment Protection Act was also amended.
Okay, just for the
Yes.
just for viewers, for a better understanding of this, because the subject is complicated
Yes.
and every viewer may not understand the
Yes.
nuances. So I'll just try to simplify a little bit of what Ramrao said. See, the issue here is that the whole contention was that unless Goa's coastal management plan is finalized, you cannot give an environment clearance, because at the
Yes.
end of the day, it's a very fragile
Yes.
area.
Yeah.
So without the finalization of Goa's coastal plan, you cannot
Yes.
grant environmental clearances.
Yes.
That was
was
basically
the
the foundation on which the whole issue stood.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
so from there what happened is, then somewhere down the line, surprisingly, this Environment Protection Act, which was very powerful earlier, has been amended almost 32 times. This itself is a big story, as you said,
Right.
between these 2 years. And using this, when this fresh meeting took place in October, they decided that EC is not required, considering the scale of the project, or the component of the project is such that environment clearance is not there, which means there is no need to do EIA,
Correct.
there is no need to do public hearing.
Right.
This is how it has happened.
Okay, I'll just come back to you. Cyril, before I come to Advocate Palkar, what the issue here is, it is not so much about whether the marina should come or not. It is, I don't think the conflict is between people who say that tourism needs to come, and it's not that you guys, I mean you meaning the people, the local people like you. The educated opinion is not saying tourism is not important for Goa. The educated opinion is not saying that marina should not come to Goa. The educated opinion is that don't destroy ecology and environment and the pristine marine life. Why do you need this location? That's one. Secondly, and I'd like you to comment on this, all along from 2010 to 2023, the entire issue and debate was centered around the protection of ecology and environment. Everything around it. Okay. Now, what has now happened is after this 13-year battle, the basic point on which the argument is that they are basically taking the principal argument out of the equation completely. That is where it is like saying, and I mean the similarity may not be quite correct, but nevertheless it's important to understand it. It is like saying that you are conducting a murder trial, and after 13 years you end up saying the person was not killed at all.
Yes.
This is exactly what has happened with this. Now, if you look at this, if you look at the environmental clearances history, the Goa Pollution Control Board refused to grant consent to Khargwal at its 111th board meeting initially, long time ago. Okay, they are saying that we are not giving consent to it based on a report given to us by the Goa State Biodiversity Board.
Yes.
That has raised objection to the proposed marina project, stating that the area is in an eco-sensitive zone. This is the beginning of the story. Let us not forget where the story started from. Okay. Then the Goa Pollution Control Board asked the North Goa collector to fix a date for a public hearing. After that, all the relevant NGOs and others, they decided to, for instance, the GRE, the Old Cross Canoe Association, then the Fishing Canoe Owners Society, then there's a Destro Fishermen's Association. All of them said
basically Chicalim
organizations. They essentially said, why should we even do a public hearing when the basic coastal plan is not made? So over to you.
See, there is something, Sujay, we miss to understand. For any industry, any project, there is something called siting of a project.
Right.
Even for a marina or otherwise, if you plan and you identify that you want to promote an industry or a project, first you identify the site. And it is important to find out if that site is compatible to your project or not.
Precisely, yes.
In this case, and we are not talking of one marina, please remember that. There is Chogle's also application pending there for another marina.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
This Khargwal's marina is for 250 odd berths.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And Chogle's has a larger project of 311 boats.
That's correct.
Together, if you look at it, it's over 500 berths that are being planned in that Sankwal, Chicalim, Nauxim Bay.
It would, I would say, I would submit it will go more, because what happens is, if you look at this Khargwal Construction Marina project, if you look at the project report, they are projecting by 2040 the total number of yachts to go up to 500 only for one project.
Yes, yes, correct. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Actually, that's what I was trying to confirm with him.
Yes.
What is the number? Because what I have found out is they are looking at a project where they are catering for 450 berths.
That's correct.
Up to 500.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
So if you take that projected numbers and you take Chogle's projected numbers, then it goes to over 800 berths.
That's correct.
Such a huge project, when you plan in that bay,
right.
First of all, the government itself should have been cautious to know if it is feasible to create a project of that nature.
Project is another 100 crore project.
In that particular area. If you see the history of that thing, Chicalim Villages Action Committee for the last 40 years has been opposing every government project, and the government has backtracked on different projects because of the ecological sensitivity of that area.
Right, right.
Our application from Chicalim Biodiversity Management Committee is pending with Goa State Biodiversity Board to declare that Wagh Island site as a biodiversity heritage site.
Right, right. Okay.
That is pending.
Right, correct.
The GSBB is already on record trying to help us on that. Similarly, I would like to know what is the stand of the BMCs of Nauxim or Sankal, which have also opposed any of such industrial activities.
Okay.
When we are talking of a marina, a marina is not something where a boat will come and berth.
Correct.
You have to have a breakwater for every marina because the tidal influence in that river.
Correct.
And huge tidal influence. Monsoon creates havoc there in that water body. So because of which you need a breakwater. The moment you create a breakwater, the whole ecology of that area, the benthic thing will get destroyed. And that is a natural breeding ground for so many species of fish, including the scheduled protected window pane oysters.
Right.
Nauxim and Chicalim are the only breeding are left now, after all have been destroyed.
Correct.
And we are trying to revive it. Under these circumstances, I request the Goa government to rethink on it and don't get carried away just by people who just it appears sometimes that Goa is for sale now to the highest bidder. That is the image that they are trying to create. They should stop and repackage themselves.
Advocate Palkar, you of course has been in the forefront of the whole agitation, and your organization is. The CM has just said that your opposition is all nonsense. That's point number one. Secondly, see what had happened was and this is something you know. See the EAC, the Expert Appraisal Committee of the Union Ministry of Environment, they had initially declined to consider the project for environmental clearance. Correct? Because they said the Caesar MP has not been. Now the project proponents and the large body of people, including the CII and tourism people, writers, journalists, many of them, they are essentially saying is, look, the CZMP has already been notified. Okay, Goa needs tourism. Goa needs high-end yachts to come in. We don't understand why this opposition is continuing.
See, we never said we don't want tourism. We never said that we are not dependent on tourism or tourism is not required. But as far as CM statement is concerned, in fact, from 2010, when this project started, tried to brought it. From that time, since 2010, every CM we approached. First, Mr. Digambar Kamath was in 2010, and we have showed him the exact area where the project is coming. And that 2010 it was there. After they said, okay, we are not going to go ahead. In 2016, now you are saying that this present CM is saying that means all these things are nonsense for raising the voices. See, in fact, in 2021, when 2020, the third time, that is what I was saying. This is in fact the fourth battle of that war. Now, what we are saying. That time, last time when we met the CM, in fact, we told the CM, you at least come to the site and see where exactly that project is coming.
That has not happened yet?
That is not yet happened.
Okay.
And if I'm saying, if CMs comes there, means you know that CMs now, every time for any functions, he comes to that Shamapras Stadium.
Correct.
It is just within a kilometer,
3 minutes.
2-3 minutes. He just can come down and see where exactly that project is coming. Now, and what is the, you have to see the site, how my learned friends say, you have to see the site as well as you have to see the, particularly what has to be seen is there. Apart from the ecological, you have to see also the social impact of the trees. I'll tell you one thing, in that word, Nauxim where we call it, there is 100% ST population, 100% people are depend on the fishing activities.
Right.
There is no other activities there.
Right.
Except the fishing.
Right.
Because what has happened, on top side there's a hill, the middle stretch of around 50 to 60 meters stretch.
Right.
Is of where there is a people residing, that is a word Nauxim we call it, village Nauxim.
Right.
And then the seashore.
Right.
So therefore, what is required is we are not saying that tourism is not. So if you say that just ahead of 1 kilometer from there,
right,
there is, you know that Hotel Great Hyatt is there.
Right.
There all tourism activities are going on.
Right.
It's not there is a boatings, everything is going on.
Right.
Only this portion. It is the length of, if you see that length of this portion is hardly about half a kilometer. Okay, and as my learned friends, it is a fish breeding zone. And now you point out about the CZMP. In the CZMP, I am part of that. In fact, I was leading that while preparing the CZMP. I was leading that panel.
I see.
In our village panchayat.
Right.
Our village panchayat. In that particular village, because we are village panchayat having 3 village panchayat, Kurka, Bambalim, Talavali.
Right.
And Bambalim is that where that projects come, and this falls in there. So in fact, in the CZMP, and we are not making any statement here. We have the report. We have the document from the NIO. We have the report from ICR, that is Institute of Coastal Research
That's right.
Organization,
Correct.
Agriculture
Correct.
Research.
Correct.
We have the input from them.
Right.
That there are more than 200 species of fishes.
Right.
And it is that, and it is a fish breeding zone.
Right.
And
This is the NIO report you put.
NIO as well as ICS.
Right.
ICR.
Right.
That is
Right.
Institute of Coastal Agriculture Research.
Yes.
So there is a report of that. Therefore, we wanted that at least the government officials should come and study this report. We are not against. In fact, we are not against any project which is
So what you are essentially saying is don't go only by the CZMP report.
Yes.
That's all right in its own case.
Yes, and
But-
in the
but don't
CZMP
ignore
also,
these reports.
in the CZMP also, we have shown mark as a fish breeding zone on the basis of those reports. And another thing is that, not only that, if you see that project proponent has also prepared the report there in 2015 or 16.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
2016.
And that was by Annamalai University.
Right.
And if you see that, they have categorically admitted that by this project there will be damage to, in fact, all, including the marine life, and the damage will be in such a way that it will be irreversible.
And this is a report which was commissioned by the project proponents
Project
themselves.
itself.
Okay.
So where is the question? That's what I'm saying. At least CM and the concerned government official should at least come visit and study, at least go through this report, and then you think of that. Correct? They're not doing that.
Right. Right. Okay. Before I come to Cyril, I have just one more issue. I'll just address one more topic. You see, the thing is, there is also this whole thing of jobs and benefits, and whether it plays out correctly and honestly or not. See, the issue is that the project proponents had said that 450 jobs will be created for locals. That's number one. And they have also said that the fishing settlements have been identified and a proper social support package plan is being worked out for the fishing community. So ultimately they will be compensated and well looked after.
So as far as jobs are concerned, I'll tell you, I'll make a statement right now only that there will be nil job as far as the locals are concerned. Because you see if you see their activities, rightly what you studied, high-end tourism, there will be at a time, as per there will be around 250 boats stationary at a point of time.
Right.
Plus they open it if that other side project also. It has an impact of 13 village panchayats.
Right.
10 kilometers east and 10 kilometers of the west. It covers from Nauxim, it goes up to Uttarda, other side, Uttarda village panchayat.
Right.
So
Right.
altogether covers 13 village panchayat. And what kind of jobs they are giving it? See, and as far as they are saying, as far as that what you studied,
Right.
there will be option for them.
450 jobs and
450
the
jobs.
social
What
package
kind
will
of
be
the
done.
jobs?
Right.
If you see those, they are already in the employment by way of this fishing there. Correct?
Correct.
What will be the job as far as those fishing related activities? There cannot be any more fishing related activity. And if you see those, I told you they are mostly, they are 100% scheduled tribe community.
Right.
So there is no, I think there will be at least 2 or 3 graduate, and there are no technical experts there.
Right.
Correct. There is no education also, means they are not much educated in the sense. I say that they will graduate in those lines.
Right.
Not on the technical sides. So and as far as their operation of canoes and they only know as far as that will not be part of their anywhere the employment of that kind of.
Right.
So there is no question of generating any employment. Now I'll give you one example. I told you that Grand Hyatt Hotel is just half a kilometer from there.
Is it? Okay.
So if you see the employment, even I fought for that. Even that they were not even giving the counter of that hotel. Taxi counter.
Right. Right.
Then I virtually have to fight with my sarpanch, and I told the sarpanch, I warned him, we are going to hammer you. Really, I'm making this statement. We are going to hammer you if you give the occupancy certificate. First, you sign the counter to the locals, and then by fighting we got it.
Right.
And from the village word, that Nauxim, not even one person is still till date is not employed in that hotel grandfather. So that in fact there is a possibility there is like housekeeping, this and that odd jobs are there, but here those types of jobs also not be there.
Okay.
So only
Cyril,
maybe the toilet cleaning,
I'm just
nothing
coming to.
else.
I'll just ask the question and then you can make your point, irrespective of what the question is. See, Cyril, I'd just like to bring the discussion back towards environment and biodiversity. The issue is because ultimately there are 2 or 3 major aspects on which this argument centers around. One is, of course, the environmental clearances, which all of you all agree that it is an absolute must. The whole bypassing of the environmental clearance is a travesty. This is what you all are saying. Secondly, if you could just elucidate a little bit on the biodiversity and the environmental disaster which you feel will happen.
See, there are 2-3 points I will refer to.
Yes.
There is no doubt about the ecological sensitivity of that area. And I am not talking of just Nauxim. I am talking of the whole bay,
Right.
which includes Sankwal Bay and Chicalim Bay.
Right.
This historically, if you see, this whole area is a natural breeding ground. And I want to remind my friend here that NIO report, and I want to let the viewers also know, NIO report has been upheld by the High Court and by the NGT and the Supreme Court, which was initiated by us when we were opposing the NIO report happened because of Chicalim Villages Action Committee. We were opposing that time the Bharti shipyard.
It was upheld by the.
And it was
happened by High Court as well
High
as
Court,
NGT.
Goa High Bench of the Mumbai High Court,
Yes.
and NGT.
Okay.
Okay, on 2 different occasions.
Okay.
One was it was upheld by the Goa High Court when we were opposing the Bharti shipyard.
Okay.
Okay, and that's how the Bharti shipyard was scrapped.
Right.
And now recently when we were opposing the reclamation carried out by Abhishek engineers, and when he challenged it in NGT, NGT upheld based on this report, has ordered him
What
to
about the NIO report with specific reference to this project?
this
Marina?
whole area.
Okay, the whole area.
It
okay.
talks of this whole area.
Okay,
And this report was initiated by our science department.
Right.
Remember that.
Right.
It was so it is as good as the Goa state government report. It is not an NIO report. It was initiated by the Goa government. So it is the bounden duty of this government to go back to its drawing board and study that report, what has been given.
Right.
Don't go by these proponents who say that EIAs are not required.
Right.
They are not locals. We are the locals who know the what could be the outcome of any industrial activity in that area. Now I want to touch on jobs because you raised the issue of job or they are offering jobs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What is the shelf life of that marina? If some project proponent or industry was there, this was the question that I had come to ask them. What is the shelf life of a marina? And compare it to the livelihood issues of the locals. As he said, it's a tribal, it's not the tribal of Nauxim. It's the tribal of Nauxim, tribal of Sankwal, tribals of Chicalim, who are all, that's their livelihood.
Right.
Extraction of clams,
Right.
extraction of fishing activities, kalwa, what we say.
Correct.
Hmm?
Yes.
Our people
I mean,
survive
clams,
on
oysters.
that. Oysters.
Right.
These people have been surviving on this occupation for ages. For thousands and thousands of
And
years.
they continue to live
as
there.
long as the water body remains sacrosanct, their generations are going to live on that. But a marina, if there is somewhere else a better marina, that client will automatically shift, customer will shift to that marina.
Right.
So the shelf life of marina is not even 10 to 20 years. This
Right.
is just a facade. This marina, this or any other marina that is coming to Goa is a backdoor entry to take our land for hospitality industry. A marina's second offshoot is hospitality. Without hospitality, you cannot have a marina. You have to provide all other facilities.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And if you see the history of our existing facilities, I want to touch on tourism.
Right.
Okay. Because you said that everyone talks of tourism.
Right.
Tourism is not the only industry that is generating income. We are stuck. See, we have to look at the pharmaceutical industry, the pharma companies. 70% of income of pharma income export from in India happens from Verna
Correct.
industrial estate.
Correct.
They have been asking for support from the Goa government, but nobody is willing to support them. They are the people who are really generating jobs for Goans, Hotel industry is not generating job for Goan.
Right.
Hotel industry is not even paying minimum wages for Goans.
Right. Right.
And this is becoming an impediment for locals to work because you don't get even your minimum wages. And the Goa government doesn't have any mechanism to check that.
Right.
So jobs is out. Don't go on jobs. Talk of siting. It is a matter of livelihood. It's going to destroy that water body and it is going to harm the livelihood of locals.
Professor Wagh, this whole issue of you all being branded as anti-development, anti-tourism, anti-economy, how do you kind of counter that argument? Because that's the strongest thing that you guys are seen to be as a bunch of people who are standing between Goa and its progress.
See, I am from the field of information technology and we are all for development. Still I love environment. I belong to this place. And when this project came up, this EIA, I went through it, a 337 page document.
Right.
I've studied it, although I'm not from environment science. But a common sense by making those calculations, the amount of dredging they were supposed to do, the amount of foreign material they were supposed to put into this sea, shore and other thing, it could clearly then spell doom. Now, we are not against development. We are for development. Sustainable development has to be done. Like just now Cyril have said, what is the shelf life of Marina? Tomorrow something better comes, they will run after. If you see reports after reports by tourism department or many other government,
Right.
this is the sunrise industry, this is that IT industry, lot of these things have happened. Nothing happens on the ground,
Right.
but the real estate is taken or some other things happen there, shams happen.
Right.
You take example of a casinos. Now what type of customers you wanted for casinos, what type of customers now you are getting. Based on that you have to decide about this also. In this connection now, since you are asking me this question based on the reference made by CM that we are anti-development and very few, we are not few. He can go as Palkar has also invited him. We have met him several times on this issue earlier also and he had assured that he will make a study. I will come to that also. But can he come down sometimes and see that place and ask each and every house or even one or two houses? Not a single person will say that we want marina over there. In Nauxim, Kakra, Orchel, these are all fishing hamlets over there.
Right.
And opposite, of course, Chicalim. He is saying very few people are opposing it, but have you found out now so many times we have met him, all panchas, all sarpanch of all villages of Santandre have met him on this issue. Sripad Babu, as again you have played his video, or he is currently the shipping minister, state minister. Is it, and he is our MP of this area. Is it not his duty to come and talk to these villagers? Or is he not aware? Only now he became aware that this thing is going on.
Right.
Earlier we have met him, we have given him representation, a whole delegation has met him. But when they are saying that we have to look at both the sides, when you are going to look at both the sides, CM was assured earlier that he will study. Based on that, I requested one of our MLA, I'll just refer to this because it also refers to these endangered species. In last assembly elections of on 24th July, there was a question to Environment Ministry by Honorable MLA Shri Cruz Silva of Aam Aadmi Party about the marinas. And he asked, one is whether the study as assured by CM has taken place. They said that no such study has been carried out.
This was asked in the assembly.
Yeah, assembly,
Right.
last assembly.
Right.
No such study has been carried out, but an NIO report which Cyril was mentioning is there. Then we asked him what is the list of species, whatever list of species which you mentioned and which is there in this report.
Right.
That list is given and the special section, in fact, this reply, government reply is there that there is an endangered species, wild window pane oysters is mentioned in this reply. And it is protected under Schedule 4 of Indian Wildlife Protection Act.
This is a reply given by?
This is a reply given by Environment Minister,
Right.
who has also now recently said he will make a study. But Wildlife Protection Act 1972, this species is endangered. This itself is one reason why Chicalim, that marina was thrown out, and it is the same bay. So this marina also cannot come up with this reason.
Okay. Advocate Palkar, now the issue that, before we kind of wind down the debate, just wanted to ask, what are the next steps? Because as of now, it seems as if all the hurdles for the construction or the progress of the marina project have been removed. So, in the sense that what are the next steps that you all can do in terms of agitating, but more importantly in terms of legal steps that you all can take to fight against this, according to you?
From the beginning itself, in fact, we have taken first the people's agitation as one direction, and other side we were also pursuing the legal side. For example, when the first they started saying that fix the public hearing, then I went to the High Court, and due to COVID, then I got it cancelled. Similarly, so we are pursuing in the both the side. Now, as far as legal side also, how the Professor Ramrao said, the window pane and oyster, they are protected under the Wildlife Protection Act, correct? And that's the reason we are saying. That's the reason we are saying that this is one of the hurdles which they are having. Not only that, if you see the opposite to that, there is a naval base.
Right.
Correct? That is within 6 kilometers of 6 kilometers. And if you see towards the left hand side, that is towards the east, there is military defense academy there.
Right.
2 TTR and 5 TTR, 3 TTR and 5 TTR. So, in fact, if you see the EI 2006 notification, EI, in that, what is required, in fact, you have to mention everything as far as these things are defense establishment.
So, there is no EIA report for this project done yet?
Not yet done.
Right.
Earlier it was done.
What I'm,
Now they have
what I'm
hidden
going to
the
say is that.
information.
So, it was done in 2000 and when?
16. In that they have mentioned, but now the fresh application, they have hidden a lot of information.
No, just want to know from the viewers. See, if for the viewers, if EIA was already done in 2016, where is this whole issue of EIA?
They were asked for the currently this issue came to Environment Committee to ask for fresh terms of reference, based on which they will conduct a fresh EIA, because that was outdated now.
I see.
There was a terms of reference.
Right. Okay.
There is one more issue, Sujay, I want to bring on siting. See,
Right.
this is where I was talking of the siting,
Right.
about archaeological areas, all sensitive areas
Right.
around the project.
Right.
There are corals there
Yeah.
at Grand Island,
Saint Jacinth,
which is another aspect that should be taken into consideration by the Goa government.
Right.
Because see, when in a marina, it's a marine industry.
Right.
And boating.
Right.
Boating requires maintenance. In maintenance, you have oil components, you have paint components, and Goa doesn't have any system to monitor all this maintenance.
Right,
We have
right.
seen it in casinos.
Right.
The sewage, everything is, nobody monitors it.
Right.
In the barge industry, nobody monitors.
Right.
And all this goes in the water.
Right.
The moment this goes in the water, these are poisons. Paint has lead in it. Okay, all carcinogen,
Right.
which will go in the water.
Right.
This will land in the fishes. The fishes will land in our stomach. We will continue to die out of cancer, and all our corals, all our water bodies will be killed with this marina industry.
Okay.
In fact, basically they came to know that if even now, if the public hearing takes place, all this will come to the hurdle.
Yes.
But wildlife protection.
So, they are bypassing public
That's
hearing
why-
also?
that's
That
how
is
the
that is the
amendment
reason
was
that
also, it's
amendment
all
is
hand in
come.
glove.
They say that no public hearing is required as far as this project is concerned. Why? Basically because of this reason, they know that if tomorrow if the public hearing even goes, then all this aspect will even what I said as far as the naval base this thing and the if you see the EY, the schedule of that category 1, category everything, and the general condition. The first general condition is that whatever defense academy is closest to, there has to be mentioned.
Right.
Correct. That has nowhere it is mentioned. So and as far as that, and first condition is that, and second is as far as the wildlife protection. Correct. Whatever is protected under Wildlife Act, it is very difficult to get it.
Okay. Now,
So
coming back
that
to
is the reason.
the question that I had started, the whole trend. So, concretely, how do you see a way out? In the sense that what are going to be your next steps? How will you proceed to stop this and to ensure that ecology prevails?
For this last 13 years, what you rightly said, this started from 2010.
Right.
We were pursuing the main is with the public, the agitation, protest, and making the memorandum to each and every from
But
the
as we've
panchayat
seen
level.
in most cases, whether it's mining or anything else or double tracking, unless there is an intervention from the court, nothing is going to happen.
Correct. Even in this case also has happened. So that what you read it. They in fact by going through this, they in fact gave in right. Said that we are not going to ahead. Still, by way of the back now to the back door, they want to Okay, so therefore we have decided first is the village panchayat. Every village panchayat, the concerned village panchayat, they have taken the resolution not to go ahead with as far as not to go ahead with this project. So in fact, our main village panchayat already taken a resolution day before yesterday in the meeting, and we are going to have a Gram Sabha. So, and in the Gram Sabha also we are going to have a
So, there's lawyer, one legal question, in the sense that, see, my point is, can any ministry unilaterally decide to say we'll do away with the EIS? Because I'm sure there are environmental laws, there are NGT judgments, in the sense that can a unilateral decision to do away with the EIA be taken legally?
See, as far as this EIA concerned, nobody can take it away what is there in EIA.
Right.
Even that's the reason I'm saying. Now that is the reason they wanted to bypass all these things. So anyway, if even they go it, we have decided the other side of it. If they say that EIA is not required, and if the government tomorrow comes out and comes out for this project, then we will definitely going to challenge that also.
Right.
So we have already decided
In court.
that in court, definitely. That will go.
Agitation also.
Yes.
That means- and plus
Chicalim,
agitation.
Yes,
villages of Chicalim and Chicalim Villages Action Committee will support the movement of the Nauxim villages and provide all information, judgments, legal help, whatever is possible from our experiences which we have undergone. And whatever judgments that have come in our favor will be handed over to them so that it makes their battle easy.
Right.
And they are 100% going to win, because it's not easy to put up such a big project without ignoring the ecology of that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Professor Wagh, what's going to be your game plan? As in,
First of all, we have to really thank Mr. Cyril and the Chicalim committee, because they were one of the first one that time also, and even now when this news came about the revival, they immediately issued a statement saying that we will also oppose it, and we have to also learn from them. Now, fighting all these battles at panchayat government level is fine, but I think this government is so thick-skinned that we have to take the recourse of agitations.
Right.
And that has already begun.
Right.
Like we had several meetings. Yesterday we had a village level meeting where people from all over Goa had come. The current MLA, although he belongs to the Revolutionary Party, which usually fights many issues separately, but if you see the development, first time the leaders of this party as well as other, including we, Goa against Goenkar against Marina and others, all were there yesterday on the same platform. So we have given a strong signal to government that we are not going to split and fight this battle separately. It is agitation. We know how to run agitations for a long time because this government needs that, and we will ensure that by the way of processes, by the way of this intervention, that Marina is not going to come up there. If they want, let them have it in their Vasco Harbour itself instead of that coal and other thing. But don't press on the, say, don't destroy the livelihood of these traditional fishermen. Don't destroy our environment. That is what we want. We are not against development. Let them have development somewhere and let them have good model of tourism or whatever it is. We are for that.
Another thing, Professor Wagh, before we are kind of slowly running out of time. The idea is that right now there seems to be a very strange kind of a situation in Goa, where the forces of quote-unquote development and the forces of environment seem to be on others, on opposite sides. Now the issue is, see, you all, I mean, Goa is a small place. You all know people in the industry bodies, in CII, GCCI, tourism, and so on and so forth. Now, when we have reached this crossroad, don't you think any robust democracy or any robust society would call for a proper dialogue between different groups, in the sense that nobody is an enemy, there are different points of view. My point is, why can't, before we take the route of the street or the route of the court, why can't we take the route of the round table?
That is
May
what
I,
they are saying.
may I answer that question?
Yes.
See, Goa government, today's or the past, don't know what is the industrial policy that they are pursuing. They have no idea. And they don't know also what is the benefits accruing out of their policies. And this I am not saying. It is the Goa government, to a question raised in assembly at the last session, that they have answered. And the question was raised by MLA asking what is the benefit accrued out of the various industrial policies that Goa has adopted. And the answer they gave is that they have never measured. They have not measured till date. So they don't know. This is a question.
Right. Okay, this is
And the
an
answer.
LAQ.
Yeah.
In addition to that,
Yeah.
So, and what happens, why we doubt the intentions of the government? Because the government is not sincere. See, we have got a judgment against Abhishek Engineers from NGT, then he went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court also upheld the decision of the NGT, and they have directed the captain of port to ensure that the area reclaimed has to be restored back.
Right, right.
Panchayat has been directed to cut the power connections. The all these authorities have been given orders, but
Right.
nobody is implementing.
Right, right.
After we winning. So such injustice is caused by this government, and you want us to trust it.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
confrontation
No.
has to happen afterwards when they are not willing to talk
Yeah,
to
so
you.
we- so we are
See,
essentially
they have to
saying-
come across, no, and talk to us.
So
we
the issue is, one is not, see, my point is, before there is a confrontation, why can't there be a dialogue, not with the government and all, but between tourism bodies, industry bodies,
all stakeholders.
and all stakeholders,
stakeholders,
including,
Yeah, so
including
it should
organizations.
we are
Even
we
to-
are all for that.
Even today, some
And
representative should
therefore,
have
in
been
order
here.
to have some confrontation,
Yes.
it was, in fact, we have even given petition to each and every department,
Right.
each and every minister who is concerned,
Right.
even the Sripad Babu. We personally met with. And
Right.
at least we said that let's have a joint meeting and discuss it in order to have the, to avoid all those agitations and everything. We don't want the people to bring.
So
we don't
now,
want
since
people-
the
But there are
the government
always
is not
one thing
listening
which
to
I've
our
seen
thing. That is our
is,
problem.
one thing which we have noticed is whenever there is a movement and environmentalists are there, because I think Goa, it is a very strong sense of environmentalism is there, and which
Yes.
is good for the state.
Right.
But there are always attempts to break it, and in this movement also, right from Advocate Palkar will tell you, so many times it has they have attempted, they might have succeeded in some cases.
Right.
And that itself gives us a feeling that this project is not a good project. See, if you have a good project, sustainable project, we are also for it. But when you are using unethical ways and pressurizing trade bodies, we are actually respecting all the trade bodies. I have been also working on CII, GCCI, all these bodies, subcommittees, I have been there earlier. But I think they are also being influenced by some of these unethical minds. And maybe sometimes they also need an open dialogue. See, they also attempted many times discussion on Khazan land and all. We have seen that. So I think GCCI and all should take lead, bring government, bring others together, and let us have a discussion.
We
Now,
should have
since the,
we should have a
yeah.
business model, a
Yeah.
proper business model for Goa. We should have an economic model which will consider what is the loads that we can carry, capacity we should understand of this small state. See, this state is, we are not backwards. If you see, I brought you some
Data.
data.
Huh.
We are the leading state in India on per capita income. And our power of purchasing is equal to Brazil's.
Right.
So we are not, who need development. We are already developed. What we need is sustaining policies. We have to sustain this development.
Right, right.
And for that we need ecological development.
Advocate Palkar, finally, since the Honorable MP has given one kind of an opening, let us look at the statement where he said, I will hear both sides. My point here is that now the MP can be moved again, a petition can be given to him or a letter can be given to him saying, we thank you for saying that both
Yes.
sides can be heard. So let's do something to hear both sides.
Yes, in fact, yesterday in the meeting, we have decided to meet Honorable MP, who is a minister also, concerned minister also,
Right.
to have a meeting with him and to appraise him and let him organize a meeting also. We have absolutely no problem. We are open from day one, we are open for the meeting because we want to convey that
Right.
this project is not feasible there. This project is having a social impact also there. So that is the reason we are open for the dialogue. It's not that we are not open, but nobody is coming to hear to us. Tell me one department which we are not petitioned. Tell me one
Right.
department.
Right, right.
Tell me one minister which we are not petitioned. Everywhere.
We are unfortunately out of time or getting close to running out of time. But let's suffice to say this. See, the issue here is that it almost seemed as if there was a complete blockade of the heart as far as this marina was concerned. The EIA was kept on hold and the government has at the last moment done a bypass. And the blockade was essentially, there was an environmental impact assessment that needed to be done and that was the blockade. A bypass has been done to avoid that blockade. But the point is, when you do this bypass, will the ecological, sustainable, environmental heart of Goa beat after this bypass? And that is important. that you can do bypasses, whether it will be a successful bypass or not. Because it might be successful for the project proponent, it might be arguably successful for tourism, but will this tourism sustain? Will it be successful for sustainable tourism? Because you may have the marinas, you may have the boats. Mind you, the point here is nobody either on this table or anywhere else who are opposing the marina are saying that marinas are bad. They are not even saying that marinas should not happen in Goa. They are only saying is don't come in this particular stretch of the water which is going to destroy us completely. Okay?
That marina is not going to succeed if they are going thinking, the project proponents are thinking that it is going, because there is coal stacked next to the marina within certain kilometers.
Right. Okay, I was just summing up, so I'll just let me finish that. Yeah, so the issue is this. Now, ultimately, one was, as all of them, as Cyril Bab said, Ramrao Bab said, and Advocate Palkar said, that the process for dialogue is always open. Before you take to the streets and take to the courts, let's take to the table, and let us all sit around and have a proper meeting of the stakeholders. Let there be convincing, let there be counter convincing. But at the end of the day, what is unfortunate is dismissing opposition as nonsense. That I think is a narrative that will spoil the process of dialogue, and that's very important. And let us take the Honorable MP's suggestion, or his promise rather, that all sides will be taken into account. I think, this has been a 13-year-old battle. Both sides are known, but I think one should now sit and do what is ultimately good for Goa and ecology, because as all of them said, there are livelihoods at stake. There's marine ecology there. There is sustainable environment which is getting completely sullied and destroyed.
Plus displacement of
and
people.
displacement. So all these things need to be taken into account before taking a final decision, because the issue is Goa is bigger than Khargwal constructions. Goa is bigger than the Chogle port. Goa is bigger than anything else, that any particular project. So even the sum total of all these projects cannot be bigger than Goa's interests, and that is very important. So that should be the bottom line before we take any final decision on this contentious project. On this, I thank all the panelists for coming here and giving their views, and I'm sure this will lead to some kind of a positive conclusion as we go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.